这些都是要后面的，这个不写后面。
Hey, good afternoon, friends and colleagues and students. This is my great honor to introduce our speaker of today's seminar to you, Professor Deng. Lifeng is an associate professor from the School of Communication and Design at Yat-sen University in Guangzhou. He received his PhD from a joint program offered by Tsinghua University and the University of Pennsylvania. And his research interests include science communication, risk governance, and communication in China. And indeed, he has published a couple of very good journal papers and books on these very important subject matters. And lastly, I just wanted to make sure you know that Lifeng is one of the very few researchers in China who has been in the front line in doing research in this rather controversial issue. And he did have very extensive experience in conducting fieldwork, and he has collected a very large body of primary empirical data in this field. This is our very huge pleasure that today we have Lifeng with us, and I'm sure in the seminar, Lifeng will be able to share with you a lot of interesting as well as very insightful observations. Thank you.
Thank you all for coming here to attend today's talk. I also want to say thank you, Mr. Deng, for your help. Last evening, he helped me to revise the GPT, and I also want to say thank you, Professor Ma, for offering me this opportunity to be here and to learn from you all. Yeah, I'm really excited I'm excited and looking forward for the Q&A section to have more discussion with you all.
Control.
Just a minute. Maybe you can.
Sorry, I forgot about that.
Okay. Basically today I'm going to present a case story and my study based on that case. So the main content is I have three parts. The first one is I will try to provide some information, background information for this case. And the second part is going to tell the case story and who is Wang and what they did and how they protest against the project. And the third part is I'm going to present some preliminary findings of my study. So that's the content. I visited Wang last summer to do the field work, to do interview with them. And so this study basically is based on the interview and the documents and even a book published by the Wang all this stuff, I draw upon a lot from this stuff. And I will visit them again this summer. Actually, I just scheduled, made an appointment with Wang days ago, and they accepted my request that I will visit them this August. Thank you. I will visit them this August and to do a further interview with them. Since there is some important figure in that case, I didn't did the interview with him, such as the former Wanjiang County. some important figures I didn't do the interview with them, so I needed to revisit them again this summer. That's my plan. Next, that's the main content. I just mentioned all the contents I'm presenting this afternoon. The first part, I'm going to try to present some background information for that case. The first one is the inland nuclear power debate. With this slide, I'm trying to show the start of art of China's nuclear power plants. We have 36 reactor units in operation, and we still have 21 under construction. And actually, more accurately to say, the 21 is 20 plus 1, since we have 20 traditional units to be constructed along the eastern and the southeastern coastline. And another one, the one is a non-traditional unit, is a floating reactor, a nuclear reactor. Will be built. Will build on this place. That's the Bohai shipyard. It's a non-traditional one. So we have 20 plus 1 under construction. And with this form, we can find that over the past 5 years, the newly built unit grew really very fast. I remember very clearly about 5 years ago in 2013, I just started my research in the area of nuclear power, and I got to know that we have 15 units in operation in that year. But at the end of that year, I got news that 2 more added into that pool. And 12 years later, the number is there. So it's almost double the numbers. So it's really, the speed is really very fast. It's still after the Fukushima accident. Yeah, that's the speed. And the inland nuclear debates, that's I think most of us know that after Fukushima accident in 2011, several European countries, such as Germany, Italy, Switzerland, they chose to phase out nuclear power. And in China, we also have very fierce debates on whether or not to construct inland nuclear power plants after 2011. And these debates, we call it inland nuclear debates in China. Inland nuclear basically is a new word or new concept. Since according to the nuclear technology expert, they don't use words like that, inland nuclear. Since according to them, there's no difference between the inland nuclear and the coastal nuclear. There's no difference between them. So they never use words like that. So this word is coined by the activists in China. In particular, the concept was coined about in 2011 or 2012, in that period. And the debate centering on the Pengze project was regarded as the starting point of the inland nuclear debate. And these debates still ongoing right now. And with the next several slides, I'm trying to introduce the anti-inland nuclear power plant activists in mainland China. With this form, I'm trying to differentiate 3 types of activists in China, and my criterion to differentiate them is based on their distance from the decision power. And I figure out that the first type I label it as the in-system political, cultural, and technology elites. There are some very important figures in this type, such as He Zuoqiu, who is an academician of Chinese Academy of Science. And He Zuoxiu is one of the earliest person who stand out to oppose the leapfrog nuclear policy in China. It's in the earlier, it's earlier in the 2010 about, I think. Another one is Wang Yinan. Wang Yinan, she is a researcher in energy policy, and his work unit is State Council's think tank development research center. And Wang Yinan actually, she is He Zuoxiu's student, He Zuoxiu's PhD student in Peking University. And Wang Yinan's major in Peking University was philosophy of science and technology. So they both have very close relationship. And actually last December, I visited Professor He Zuoxiu. It's Wang Yinan who recommended to visit him. And Wang Yinan is very highly productive in writing the anti-nuclear articles. He read a lot in that area. And another two is one is Gao Yanmi, the other is Chen Gong. And these two businessmen, they are very close friends. Gao Yanmi, who is a member of National People's Political Consultation Commission, he attended Lianghui and read quite a lot of articles to oppose the nuclear industry policies in China. And Chen Gong is a consulting company's chairman, which is a leading consulting company in Beijing. And in this, we have some technology supporters for them. One very important figure is Li Yulun. Li Yulun is the former vice minister of nuclear industry ministry. He retired and he earned his PhD from Germany, and his major was nuclear reactor design. So he is really a true expert in this area. And another three important ones is such as Wen Hongjun and Zhang Wuqing. Both of them retired, and they former work unit is CNNC, China National Nuclear Corporation. And another one, Lei Yang. I will not go into detail, but basically the first type is in system political, cultural, and technology elites. The second type are labeled as stakeholders of nuclear projects. Basically, they are moral stakeholder or strategic stakeholder of different nuclear projects. The most active one group is Guangzhou. That's the case I'm going to present this afternoon. And there are also some inactive groups, such as Fancheng and Beihai, local People's Congress. They are not active right now. That's because these projects was suspended right now, so they are not active anymore. But there is a very active one is in Shandong Bingzhou local People's Congress and local People's Political Consultation Commission. That's because there is a nuclear project is under construction in Hebei. Since these two places is very close to each other, it's very similar to the Jiangxi Pengze project. Since the project, another nuclear project located on the inter-provincial boundary. That's the second type. The third type is labeled as a citizen activists. The most active one and the most famous one, I will introduce this one, and left the other activist, Wu Hui. Wu Hui, he actually is a teacher in Hunan Lodi Vocation College, but he never mentioned his official professional identity on the internet. He wrote a very famous and very popular blog post titled as "Nuclear Power Will Ruin China." they use very sensational article, this one. So lots of pass on, and he reported to me last year that this post was forwarded by more than 1 million times. That's his figures. And there are some other active or inactive ones. With this map, I'm trying to mapping out the social network of those activists in China. Basically, I differentiate 3 groups. The first one is on the left one, the middle one, and the right one. With this map, we can find the hub. The hub center is Wang Yinan. She has lots of connections with all these activists. So this is the hub. He Zuoxue is not active anymore since he is already 90 years old this year. This subgroup of technology support include these 3 persons. I just introduced them. And this one is Professor Lei Yang. Actually, Lei Yang is not an expert in nuclear power, but his major is very much related to nuclear power, since he is a professor of physics in Peking University, and he is very good at writing science population articles in this area, and he has a broad account in the science.com.cn, which is a very popular website in China, named the Science News, Science Information on that site. So the middle one is very active ones. I will introduce this a little bit more. Tao Guanyuan. This one is he is the director of the China-Germany Renewable Energy Center. He is the director of that center. And Tao Guanyuan is very famous for his expertise in the area of smart problem. Smart problem is a very hard issue right now in China. And his view on nuclear power is that he thinks nuclear power doesn't have much effect on solving the smart problem. This is another group. Basically, it's inactive activists, 2 professors, and some stakeholders, and basically stakeholders. Professor Lifeng, who is a professor of industry policy in Peking University, he once very sharply criticized China's nuclear policy in 1999, and he also one of the early opponent of the AP 1000 as Professor Lifeng. So from this map, we can find that basically there are 3 types of activists. The first one are the retired elders. They all retired. This one retired. They retired person. They all retired. So that's the retired elders. The second type is businessmen. Gao Yeming, Chen Gong, Tao Guanyuan, they all are businessmen. So kind of they are advocates for their own business interest. The third is active citizens, such as Wu Hui, Zhang Chenjian, they are very active citizen activists. Now with this slide, I'm trying to present the a saying that fierce disputes regarded as one of the main reasons for the Iran nuclear power stagnation right now. But there are lots of words. I'm not going to detail to describe them. I will skip this one to the next to tell the case story from this side on. So that's the case, Wanjiang Sidao and the Jiangxi Pengze project. Here is some basic information for that project, Jiangxi Pengze project. First, its location is in the north of Jiangxi province and in the south of Anhui province. is on the interprovincial boundary, and yeah, that's the location. And this site was selected by Chinese government very early on. It's about 35 years ago. In 1982, it was selected as an exceptional ideal MPP site at that time. But this project was not constructed until October 2010. At this time, the project was started its construction. But it seems that the project is not quite good lucky, since less than 6 months the Fukushima accident happened, and the Chinese government launched a comprehensive nuclear safety inspection nationwide. And when the Chinese government concluded that inspection, this project, including other quite a few inland nuclear power projects, was suspended till now. So that's some basic information for that project. There is another question: why do research on this project? Before I answer that question, I'd like to explain a little bit more about the key operators and constructors in China. There are 3 very key nuclear power operator and constructor in China. The first one is CNNC. I call it the most powerful one. That's because this company grew out of the former Ministry of Nuclear Industry. So this corporation has a very close relationship with the central government. This one is based in Beijing. And I also visited there and do some interview with officials in that company. And the second one is CGN. As you guys may be quite familiar with this one, since from the COP, very close relation with this one. Right? This is the largest one. I mean, in terms of the units in operation and the units to be constructed, they own the largest number of the projects in CGN. And the third one is the State Power Investment Corporation. This is a newcomer and also the weakest one among the 3. Say new, that's because they just established in 2015. That's new. And another meaning for that new is this company don't have much experience to manage a reactor. They don't have much experience to build a project in this field. So actually that's maybe part of the reason why the Pengze project will become a problem for them. For them. So that's the Pengze project. They have some uniqueness of this project. First, this one of the pioneer inland nuclear power plants in China. Second, this one is the most disputed one among the 3 pioneer inland nuclear projects. The third one is Pengze project, really the benchmark, also the bottleneck for inland MPP in China. This project, undoubtedly, I think it will have a significant impact on the strategic structure and the layout of China's MPP. So who are Wang literally, they are 4 senior elders. All of them are more than 80 years old, are in their old ages. I visited them last summer. That's their names: Tao Guiqiang, Wang Jinzhou, Fang Wang, Wang Jinzhou. This one is the leader. This one is the leader. This one is the only one he can use social media. The other 3 they can use a smartphone. So he is the most active one, also the leader. And this one is very good at writing articles and very good logic and very compelling arguments. He's really good at that. That's the president of local court, Guangzhou local court, Fan Guangwen. Yeah, almost all the materials wrote by these senior elders. So they are senior retired CCP, Chinese Communist Party cadres in Guangzhou County. They basically are political and cultural elites in Guangzhou County. And actually, as the Wanjian Sila as a label has been used for more than 6 years, it's already become a brand name. Became a brand name. It continues to be used despite the change of its membership. Because of the health problems, Hao Guoqiang, this gentleman and this gentleman, they were succeeded by 2 other senior elders last year, but their level didn't change. So why the Wanjian Sila case? I actually mentioned some of the reasons why I do study on that case. The first one is since it's the inception of inland MPP policy disputes in China, and this one is also the most disputed one in the 3 pioneer inland MPPs in China. And compared to other anti-nuclear activists, Wanjian Sila basically are more rational and constructive, and which are very closer to rational public deliberation. And the third one is over the past 6 years, they composed and left behind a huge amount of articles, internet posts, media coverage, and those materials provide us a very sound basis for in-depth interview. Actually, the Wanjian Sila sent me a lot of articles, and I bring them back to have my box full last summer. Wanjian Sila not ordinary people. That's we must know that. But compared to their counterparts, the corporate investor or Pengze project, they are relatively disempowered. Yeah. So I think this case study will be valuable for us to explore into the important question of inequality in public deliberation, and to identify the institutional and the structural constraints that are to be overcome in the context of authoritarian deliberation, such as in China. Design, the theoretical perspective basically comes from the stakeholders management. The one fundamental question is who are the stakeholders and who really matters among the stakeholders. So responding to these questions, there are basically 2 research approaches. One is focusing more on the attributes and the salience of the stakeholders. Another research approach focuses more on the stakeholders' influence strategies. But I argue that if we want to delve into the dynamics and the complexity of the stakeholders in their influencing strategies and the process, we will need to combine these 2 research approaches. So that's this research will be this way. With this slide, I'm trying to present the integrative analysis framework. I adapted a series from the existing papers, and I proposed 3 dimensions to try to analyze their influence strategies. That's the power, the legitimacy, and urgency. I will skip this one. It's quite dry. Yeah, that's my research question. Basically, 3 research questions. The first one is why the proposed empowering institutions, such as the Social Stability Evaluation Act, which was issued in 2012, and the Public Participation in Environmental Impacts Evaluation Act, which issued in 11 years ago. Right? Why these institutions cannot empower Wanjian Sila? And on the contrary, why these institutions was even strategically used to disempower them? what are the reasons? The second one is how did Wang Jiang as a stakeholder of the Pengze project struggled to be included in the decision-making process? And to what extent and under what conditions do they break up the organizational and institutional inequality and to earn equal status in the deliberation process? The third question are what are the impacts of their protest? Is there any effects? Are there any limitations or challenges to be overcome? That's my research questions. So my method basically used case study as a research approach, and I did quite a lot in-depth interview with those important informants or important figures in the process. And I also use content analysis and textual analysis as my research method to answer my research questions. That's my field work. Next, I will try to present some preliminary findings. This one, with the framework, I'm trying to do some evaluative analysis from these three dimensions or perspectives. I think next page, the 2 pages, you guys maybe have more interest in those pages. That's the process. The process, I try to mark 4 phases. The first one is they try but failed to get noticed. Actually, they did quite a lot of work before the second phase. They write appealing letter and they phoned government officials, but no one responded them. No one gave them positive feedbacks at that stage. They sent their appealing letter to Wen Jiabao, to Li Keqiang, and to the other government agencies. No feedbacks at that time. Just the one, they told me, just the one gave them feedbacks. That's a retired person in Anqing, a retired local People's Political Consultation Commission. But this retired person surely has no power in that time. The second one is the Fang Guangwen, when he did they searched out an article by He Zuoxiu, and he found that He Zuoxiu's place of birth is his county. So he is really very excited about that new finding. So he contacted Beijing Wanjiang Homeland Association, and they contacted Professor He Zuoxiu, and He Zuoxiu gave them very positive feedbacks. They are really very excited about that. So, and He Zuoxiu promised them that he will submit their opinion letter to Premier Wen Jiabao. So that's really the turning point at that time. They really excited about that. Since when they told me, they still too excited about that. So at that time, and it did work. It did work. Since less than 1 month, they got news that Premier Wen Jiabao wrote instructions on their opinion letter. They never see have the chance to look at the written instructions, but someone phoned them from Beijing, tell them that Premier Wen Jiabao wrote a few words on their opinion letter. So that's the turning point in August 2011. And after that, they received all kinds of feedbacks from the Environment Protection Ministry, from Anhui Province, the provincial government, all kinds of feedbacks from different level government. That's the second phase, the striving for government support. And they feel much more confident after that, since they got the written instruction from Premier Wen Jiabao. So they they think things are changed. So in the third phase, they want to make it public. Before that, they don't dare to do that. But after that, they are much more confident to make this issue public. So in the end of 2011, Sila sent the opinion letter, originally written to Premier Wen Jiabao, sent the opinion letter to news media such as China News Daily and Southern Weekly. That's all very famous and very popular news media in mainland China. And 1 month later, they even post the letter online. They post it online and get a lot of attention at that time. And another month passed. They even posted on Sina Weibo. So that's totally different. And this actually ignited the Pengze nuclear issue to the public. And at that time, they received lots of media interview requests at that time. So at this phase, it basically increased media exposure, and the third phase is a very important milestone. Is over there in the almost 10 months later, the executive meeting of State Council ruled that no inland nuclear power project will be approved in the 12th five-year plan. But in 2010, when the 12th five-year plan just proposed, they have quite a few clauses to say that new inland nuclear power plant will be built in Jiangxi, Hunan, and Hubei. But in 2012, that's changed, and it later extended to 13 five-year plan period. So that's a very important milestone. Next, I will try to, with this slides, try to do some evaluative analysis. The first one is to analyze how they seeking for power and social influence. This slide basically is analyzed how they seeking for public power. How they get support and endorsement from different level of government, and to pressure for policy adjustment and change. That's this slides. And the next one, I'm trying to analyze how they get media power, how they strive for media access to tell their story, to tell their alternative story, and then try to sway public opinion, try to shape public combination and attitudes to inland MPPs. And the third one, I'm trying to analyze how they framing their identity, their claims, and their actions as legitimate. From three perspectives: regulative legitimacy, moral legitimacy, and cultural combination legitimacy. How they do that. This also the third, and this is the last one. How they bring their urgent claims into public spotlight. That's another evaluative analysis. But I will skip this. Yeah, I'd like to mention this one. The sympathy arousing, since the level of Wang implicitly implies and annotates rich emotional connotation. Since this indicates that their protest against Pengze project will be like a fight between David and Goliath. That's here we comes to the impacts evaluation. They did quite a lot of things. So what's the effects? What's the impacts? We also try to do some analysis on that question. We propose a framework to evaluate their impacts. Basically, three dimensions. The first one is what are the impacts on nuclear policy. The second one is if there are any impacts on the responsiveness of the government or the owner of the Pengze project. The third one is if they have any social impacts. I mean, if they have, if their protests entail more news coverage, stimulate others' actions, or even shape local residents' cognition and attitudes toward the nuclear power project. So that's the framework used to analyze their impacts. And I do some analysis in these slides, but lots of words and dry. So I will try to skip these slides. Finally, I will also propose some challenges. I mean, Sila achieved some milestone achievements, but their protest actions are still facing some fundamental challenges. I list 4. The first one is I argue that the success or failure of Sila's protest very much depends on the endorsement or support from the government. The Premier Wenjiaba's instruction facilitated and even pressured different levels of governments to respond to Sila's appeal, and was a very important driving factor for Sila's rising in social visibility in the news media. This means that under the current institutional and structural constraints, Sila's success was probably difficult to be replicated in other situations. That's the first argument. But however, I also argue that with the transformation of the social power structure driven by the rise of social media, it's becoming increasingly common for the disempowered to make their protest public. That's the first argument. The second one, I think Sila's protest still couldn't have a direct impact on the nuclear power policy process. Actually, they didn't change the policy process and don't have much influence on that process. But their impact lies in they did add up the difficulties for the proposed nuclear power plants to come true, to become a real project. That's the second. The third one, I propose that the limits due to their identity. I mean, since they all are so-called in-system CPC retired categories. Yeah. They retired, their health insurance also still depend on the government, right? So that's their identity. This means they usually rely upon relative moderate strategies and tactics, and which could get unnoticed and receive no response by the decision maker. The first one, I argue that Sila's as NIMBY activists and kind of interest advocates position them to be more antagonistic to their counterpart in the government or corporation. This means they are not quite open to alternative views. This means that the deliberation between them may be difficult, even impossible to happen. That's challenges. I'm trying to sum up to do some analysis on the logic of stakeholders' protest. The first one I want to say is in the current political system, gaining endorsement and support from the public power, in particular high-profile government officials such as Premier, Vice Premier, or the Minister of Environment Protection Ministry. High-profile government officials is still the decisive factor for the success of stakeholder protest. The second one is the empowering process is highly reliant upon the social structure settings in which the empowering practices operate in, which means that it will be unproductive if separating the empowering practices and the legitimacy. These slides Yeah, I'm just trying to do some analysis how framing their identity claims and action as legitimate. The third one is propose two questions. How a lay person, they are not expert, how a lay person could align with technology expert to produce alternative knowledge and to break up knowledge monopoly, which is usually dominated by the powerful group, and to empower themselves through knowledge production. That's the first question. The second one is, with the rise of social media, how a lay person could build up their protest via connective actions and innovate their protest repertoire. That's the second question, and that's all. Thank you all. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot for sharing this very insightful observations. Now we have some good time for discussion.
Maybe I would like to ask you, you mentioned a lot of people who support the action from the Guangzhou law. May I ask you what was the opinion or reaction from people who support the construction, like from nuclear, let's say nuclear.
You mean those people support the Sila or support the Pengze project?
Support the project.
Okay. I was told that the most supporters that's in Jiangxi province, especially the project, the site of the project. Since the local residents, they can get quite a lot rewards from that project. You know, they move to a new house, and they have the new road, and all the infrastructures changed. So, and even the Wanjiang local people, they admired the Jiangxi residents live quite close to that project. So the most supporter that's in Jiangxi province. But that doesn't mean that in Jiangxi there's no opponents. That's not the situation. That's not true. In Jiangxi we also have quite a lot of opponents. But their voice basically was silenced. Since they shall say Jiangxi Daily, all the news media in Jiangxi, they will not allow the alternative views or voice to be public. So in Anhui that's different. Since they oppose those projects, and even the government of Wanjiang County, their funds, I know that, I can say that, but all their funds get their funds from the Wanjiang government. So the situation is quite totally different in Wanjiang. I'm not sure I answered your question.
No, I mean, you mentioned a lot of why the success, right? But I can imagine there must be some obstacle from all the nuclear supporters too. But I want you to explain more.
I think this is a very important question as well, because that's where, like in Japan, they have the influence of what they call nuclear village. Those in the nuclear village industry that has vested interests, and they have traditionally very high level of political influence on the government. So
you mean the nuclear village has quite an important political influence in the government?
In the sense that they call nuclear village is not a physical village, it's a network of core people who are pro-nuclear. They are maybe from the senior executive in the power conservation side. They may be someone in political parties in that sort of position. So we see coalition of very powerful actors who are pro-nuclear.
Yes, we do. We do have in China. Since I think there are different level analysis. If you analyze the local residents, they have their
supporters or the residents who follow nuclear power projects. And in other levels, such as the industrial level, they have lots of people to express their view to support this industry. I mean, we should to differentiate different level of analysis, and we will identify who are the supporters, where are they, and what they do to support the nuclear industry. And I know, since I also did some content analysis on some news report on Fukushima accident, and I found that the most active and to support the nuclear industry basically are the party organ daily, the television. They owned by the government and by the party. They are quite positive. Their attitude quite positive to the nuclear industry. But the market-oriented news media is different. And the we so-called trade press, such as China Energy Daily, China Electronic Power Daily, the trade press is different. They are more lean to support the industry. That's my observation.
Is there any public consultation in China before the government want to implement the plan? Is there any public consultation system in some province or in China?
For that project, for this
according to my own observation, I think it's basically no. Since when Wang set out to protest against the project, the officials, since the officials and the state power investment corporation, the officials work in Jiangxi province. When they know that Wanjiang people to protest against that project, they think it's unbelievable, since they say that Wanjiang people, they have quite a lot of relatives live in Wanjiang County. They have their family kinship with the Wanjiang County. That means that your brother against you, things like that. So they think it's unbelievable. So when they get to know that they just have no response, no response to Wanjiang's protest. And beyond that project, I think right now in China, it seems that we have the institutions such as the Social Stability Evaluation Act, the Public Participation in Environmental Impact Evaluation Act. We have those paperwork, but we don't have much practice on the ground.
So the Pengze project actually, I expect it is an EIA project. So
I'm sorry,
environmental impact assessment.
Yeah. They, yes, they are required to do survey among the residents to collect their opinions and to see what their response to this project, what their concerns, safety, pollution, things like that. They didn't do the survey in Wanjiang County, and but their method is quite problematic. They use the method. They can report to the higher government to say, look, we do all these things. But actually, they used institutions like that. I say they use these institutions to strategically to disempower the residents in Wanjiang. Yeah.
about consequences, effect. If the plans and programs affect lots of people,
Yeah.
is there any government or department responsible
Yes.
for the problem?
Yes. Sure.
Is there any system responsibility?
That's really a big challenge for China right now, since the regulator is dispersed in different government agencies. We have national defense, national defense. That's a part. One part of regulator function is lies in this government. We have the National Energy Bureau that's in charge of to approve new projects, National Energy Bureau. And we also have, if it's in crisis, they have to cooperate each other, the different government agencies and different parts of the emergency groups. That belongs to the Environment Protection Ministry. The regulators, they are not combined, they didn't work together. They dispersed in different government agencies. So that's a big challenge for China right now. If they disperse in different part of the government agency, that means it's added the difficulties for them to collab.
On the plan. Do you know why?
Why? You mean politically?
Yeah, because they will put themselves in danger.
Yes. But you know that they are four retired CPC, Chinese Communist Party's retired cadres. They have lots of political wisdom, conventional wisdom, how to deal with the government, how to deal with news media. They are very sophisticated, actually, and they never accepted news media from the foreign news media interview. They never accept their interview from the foreign media, since if they accept interview from the foreign news media, they will be criticized that they have connections with the foreign evil forces, things like that. So Fang Guangwen, Mr. Fang Guangwen, that gentleman, he told me that the CNN or Reuters, I forgot, a reporter from the Reuters come to Jiang and stay in Jiang for 1 week, just want to do interview with Fang Guangwen, and he even to visit his home, and Fang Guangwen never speak a word to this journalist, and finally he go. They can do nothing. Yeah.
Is there any information about the sources of funding?
Yeah, the sources, the funding. Yeah, before 2013, they do all these protests personally. Actually, they do it personally. They organize together. They retired elders, not just the four elders. They have other senior elders. They retired and they quite happy and they can do something for them. They organize personally. They have no organization, and they found that some elders maybe more radically. They want to do something more radical, such as to do some street demonstration, to run across the river, run across the Yangtze River to do protests in Jiangxi province. They found out how to control those members. If they can't control them, and that will be dangerous for them. That means their protest action will be cracked down. So they found that they should have an organization. So in 2014, the Organised. The name of their organization is Guangzhou County Environment Protection Organization. They use the name Environment Protection they never use the anti-nuclear project. Never use name like that. They use environmental protection name, and they got their funding from government, from the county government. Since I know that, since my father is also a retired elder, and they have an organization in the county, and they are retired galleries, you know. So I mean, they leaders, they still in position. Maybe they are secretary before. So it's easy for them to get funding from the government. And when they treat me in the restaurant, and I want to pay it, they say, oh no, we have funding. Yeah. And they also call a taxi for me, having to back to the city. And they say, we have funding, we can pay it for you. Yeah.
Does it answer the first slide you state that there's two rules that the organization have to compile with? So that's explain why these organizations and the activities eventually got the somehow out of the activities. Does it do direct linkage between?
I'm sorry, I'm lost. So you mean?
So you mentioned that these group of people eventually form their own organizations.
Yes.
And receive government funding.
Yes.
So does it answer the first slide that you mentioned? There was two acts. One is social stability evaluation act, and the other is public participation.
But that doesn't have any relationship between these two things. Since you know, in Wanjiang County, the officials, even the civil public servants, they don't like the Pengze project. So that's why they support Wanjiang Silao. That they all are Wanjiang residents, right? So they support them. But in Jiangxi, that's different. In Jiangxi, I mean, they come from two different provinces. Yeah. And the Social Stability Evaluation Act, which is issued in 2012, that's also related to the Pengze project. Since Pengze project, the Wanjiang, the Silao, they stand up to protest against this project is in 2012, and this act just issued in 2012, and all of them, the officials, the corporations, all of them have no experience to do things like that. They all newcomer, they all freshmen. They want to do that, but they have no experience. And so this is the first project they have problem like this. And since they have no experience and they don't dare to use the public participation in those processes, since they also worry about the results of public participation. Since even the public participate in the process, the results, the outcome may not what they desired. So they are quite nervous about the public participation. But the central government require that all these huge, big industrial projects, they have to do participation, public participation. They must do that. That's the central government requirements. So they have to do it, at least do something, and have a report to the higher government, to their boss. So, but they want to do it very. I mean, they just use these institutions, this symbolically, to do that. They will not do it substantially. Yeah.
So there were no public demonstrations or street protests like that?
Yeah, in this project, no. In this project, no. But in German uranium anti-uranium event, there's more than 2,000 people.
I know.
Yeah.
I think this case sounds very interesting to me. It's because we didn't see a lot of public participations you just mentioned.
Yeah.
And that's when we say that a campaign is impactful. Lots of time it would involve public, protests, demonstrations, etc. But for this case, we just see 4 senior citizens use their own channels, and then they can need the government to put aside a very important national policy.
Yes.
I think so. What's actually the most successful elements that in this case? Is it because they just know the tactics and know the people they have to talk to?
Yeah, that's why this case is really very interesting, and that's why I choose this case as my research object. I want to answer questions like that, and I want to do analysis to answer your questions, and I do analysis from the power dimension and from the legitimacy dimension, things like that. Yeah, I think it's all important factors, such as they must have power, but the Silla don't have power actually. So they indirectly seeking power, seeking the public power. I mean the support and endorsement from the government high profile government officials. They're seeking power to gain influence. That's one part. Another part of their action strategies is to go to the media. That means they're seeking for media power. They use media. They use media to publish their stories, and they use the news media to shape the public's the attitudes to this project.
Regarding the media, that's also my questions. Because in our knowledge, media in the mainland, it's all controlled by the central government, and
you can say that
quite impossible, quite difficult for them to carry story that was not aligned with the party line. So, what makes them so powerful that they can influence the media?
That's why I argue that this case their success cannot be replicated in other situations, since there are sensitive issues or hard issues. Since happened at that time, just after the Fukushima accident. So Fukushima always hard words on the media, and the media want to do coverage on issues like that. That's a very important one, since the party will not to censorship on report like this on Fukushima. Fukushima is a Japanese thing, so there should be no censorship. There will be no censorship on media coverage like that. So Fukushima is very important at that time, and nuclear power basically is also not a politically sensitive issue. Okay. It's not a politically sensitive issue. It's not a political issue basically. So that's also part of the reason that the media they dare to do coverage on that topic, and there are also some other reasons, such as that. The competition among the news media, the competition also is quite important. They want to do very interesting and very attractive news report, and the Sila can provide a good story to them, can feed them very good story.
So just curious about Greenpeace. Is Greenpeace active in the mainland?
They are very active. I did visit them. I visited them in Beijing, and I also asked them why they didn't do anti-nuclear things as they did internationally. Their answer to me is that since in China we do have a lot of problems to do, the nuclear power we don't have much resources and energy to focus on nuclear power, such as they have lots of environmental problems. But I think that's a strategic answer to me, and I think that's not the true answer. I think her answer is a strategic one, since they should know that nuclear power is a very important issue in China. Yeah, and why they strategically to avoid to do campaign on in this area. I think that yes, nuclear power is not a political sensitive issue, but basically is more sensitive to than other issues. I think. And I think another important reason is that in China we have 3 key nuclear operators. That's CNNC, CGN, and State Power Investment Corporation, and they all are very huge state-owned companies. Yeah, they have they all are very powerful. Yeah, so. That's also part of the reason.
So my last question is, this Wangzhou Silao,
yeah,
they only active in Wangzhou, not other places.
Yes, they're only very
That's
active
good.
in Guangzhou.
They're too old.
Yeah, they are old. Yeah, they are in their old ages, and actually they also selective. Their Guangzhou Environment Protection Organization also very selective to take on the problems in Guangzhou, such as chemical factories problem. They never to touch on topic like that. Even it's really very polluted thing in Guangzhou. They never do that, since they know that's not the Guangzhou County government allow them to do things like that. But the government will support them, encourage them to stand up to protest against the Pengze project. So they are very selective, actually.
How do you see the role of social media in such kind of?
Yeah, I think we should. I should say that these seniors, 4 senior elders, they. Only Wang Jingzhou use social media, use a smartphone. He is 80 years old this year. Only Wang, and the other 3 they don't use social media and smartphone, but they have their grandson, their relatives. They will have them to post their articles online. Yeah, they have some supportive network to help them with these things. And social media is really also really important in this case. I should say that since social media not just help them to deliver their message to the public, not just to deliver the message, they also help them to organize. That's a very important factor. They help them to organize around Wang Jingzhou, and they help them to organize to have very extensive connection with other activists. For example, Wang Jingzhou, he is in his 80s, but he is quite active, and they have a lot of connections with such as Wu Hui, Wang Yinan. They all have very active connections with them. That's due to social media. Without social media, it's impossible. And actually, before I went to Wanjiang to do interview with them, they want to check up my identity, and they want to check up if I'm something to detect their information. They send my resume to Wang Yinan, ask her to check up if I'm a professor in Jiangxi University, things like that. And they even send me back Wang Yinan's feedback to him. They make wrong, and I found that you already asked Wang Yinan to check out my identity. Yeah, they use social media. They don't use smartphone, but actually they rely upon social media quite a lot. Yeah.
I would like to ask you, because you mentioned, like in your case, it happened after Fukushima incident,
Uh-huh.
and what do you see as a turning point for the, let's say, central government policy after Fukushima as a turning point? Was the strategy change, or did it change?
For the nuclear policy adjustment after Fukushima, undoubtedly, Fukushima is a very important factor, since the Chinese leaders saw the very negative impacts Fukushima brought about to the world. Fukushima is very important, but if there is no protest like this one, I think Chinese nuclear policy will be a little bit different from the one we see right now. I mean, their protest, those activists, anti-nuclear power activists, they play a very important role in the policy formation in that process. I think so. I know that the policy process and the mechanism is quite complex, and I also did quite a lot of interview with the industry policy expert, and they told me that they say that Sila has no impact on the policy process right now so far. They have no impact, but the Sila's most the important contribution to the policy adjustment lies in the policy will be difficult to come to the proposed project is difficult for the proposed project to be a real project. They will have lots of Sila to send up to protest against those projects.
The first question is that in China, just recently, the government, controlled or increased the censorship even on the social media, Weibo, the equivalent of Twitter. So by controlling even the social media, how could the disempowered try to find a way to express their willingness?
Yeah, that's a very challenging question, but yes, that's right. That since in 2010, that's so-called the first year of social media in mainland China, and lots of people they want to express their views, including political views, on the Sina Weibo, and in 2011, 2012. The Sina Weibo play very key role to influence the course of some important public events, and the Chinese leaders saw that, and that's why they launched several campaigns to crack down the Sina Weibo, such as Xue Man's event. That's a very typical one. Xue Manzi is a celebrity, and his Sina Weibo has more than 3 or even 4. How to say that? 5,000 万. I mean, his fans is much bigger than people's daily. Just one person. They have much more fans, readers than people's daily, and the Chinese leaders saw that there are lots of Xue Manzi. That means they have very, very influential social influence among the Chinese citizens. So they saw that, and the Communist Party's propaganda department almost lose their influences. So they found different reasons to crack down the Sina Weibo. So that's why Sina Weibo is already not quite influential in Chinese people. And at that time, Tencent, that's the company based in Shenzhen, they released the new product WeChat, and most of the Chinese people transfer to WeChat. And WeChat is basically a totally different product, and they very rarely to talk about the political issues. Yeah, they talk about some maybe not sensitive issues. Since that basically, all in all, it's different. And Sina Weibo. Yeah, let me stop here. Uh-huh.
You just talk about public participation, and also I read a piece of news which talk about not in my backyard movement,
Yes.
aimed at another nuclear project.
Mm-hmm.
So if the Chinese government is more concerned about people's well-being
Mm-hmm.
and for fear of this nuclear radiation, then how could these projects be carried on afterwards? Whether or how?
Actually, in projects like Pengze project, they are very pessimistic. This project like that. And since I do visit them, they said since they did invest quite a lot in project like Pengze, like Hubei Xianing, like Taojiang, more than 3 billion. No, 30 million. Anyway, they invest lots of money in those projects, but some of investment used in buying machines, equipments, and those machines and equipments could be transferred to coastal nuclear project. And most of those equipments was transferred to such as Jiang and Fangchenggang, these projects. So they do invest a lot, but they didn't lose so much, just as the media report. Yeah, and there's no hope for the inland nuclear project. They say there's no hope. At least in current. The Xi Jinping and Li Keqiang's rule, maybe there will be no hope for the inland nuclear power project to be approved. Basically, no. But maybe the next generation leaders, they will change their views, change their ideas to recover things like that. It's possible. But in 13th 5-year plan period, there's no hope.
I wonder if you know for the state, for province and the state government, any emergency preparedness plan in the case of any one of plan and plans of a crisis. From the distant from 20 kilometers to 15 kilometers. In case if there's a crisis,
Yes.
what would the state or the government, the state government or the province government do?
Yes, if the nuclear crisis happened, for example, happened in Dayawang or somewhere, they do have they have a plan. They told me that they have a plan to do emergency in situation like that. They do have 4 kilometer, 15 kilometer, and 30 kilometer. They will differentiate. But it's very technically. Actually I don't know much about that.
I visit Taiwan
Uh-huh.
and ask them 3 questions.
Uh-huh.
I don't have a satisfactory answer or even no answer.
Uh-huh.
First is ask them if they have any shelter for those
Yeah.
emergency rescue people.
Mm-hmm.
They say no. The second is that is any other people
Mm-hmm.
brought out from those emergency rescue team within the plant? No,
Mm-hmm.
no other people.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked the military force will help? No.
Uh-huh.
And third question is, in case those emergency rescue team
Mm-hmm.
lay off, they don't go for work, they don't go for rescue,
Uh-huh.
what happened? No answer.
Mm-hmm.
And about the emergency plan in Hong Kong,
Mm-hmm.
we do have not much, or even we don't know, we have a drill for the emergency.
Mm-hmm.
And in case we have an emergency in Hong Kong, whatever,
Mm-hmm.
we have less than 1,500 beds in the hospital for emergency.
Oh.
So, even though in a well-developed Hong Kong, we have this situation,
Uh-huh.
I just wonder what would the situation be, would be happening in China in
Mhm.
case
Yeah.
one of the plant have a disaster, have a crisis.
Yes.
And I would like to have a follow-up question is that any compensation for that?
Mm-hmm.
Any compensation system available?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Yeah, I do did some research on ordinary people, how they see the nuclear crisis or the nuclear project. I ask them if they accept a huge compensation and build a project close to your hometown. Their answer is no. No. But they maybe accept other industry project, but they will prefer not accept a nuclear project in their hometown. Of course, that's related to the risk perception, things like that. When I did visit Taiwan quite a few, several times, and they say, and I found that when I first time to visit Taiwan, I found that it's really the population around Taiwan is quite intense. Found that, yeah, that's more than 10 villages. They live around the Taiwan Bay, and I talked with some villagers and how they see Taiwan base. It's very safe. It's very safe. We live with it more than almost 30 years, and nothing happened. So I mean, the local people, it seems they can live along with the nuclear power station. Yeah. But your question is a really important one.
You know, construction mentioned, when they build the power plant, you know the story, they don't put enough enforced fuel.
Uh-huh.
You know that?
I know that there are some report saying that, and today or yesterday or a few days ago, there are some report on the Taishan nuclear station. They also reported similar questions, similar problems like that. Yeah, and yeah, that's why I think the citizens like Jiangxi, all the things they do is really critical for the health system of China's nuclear power industry. We do need some criticism, constructive criticism or criticism like them, and they are bold enough to stand up, to speak out. since we all know that to speak up, to speak out may be dangerous for us at some particular point of time. So we do need citizens like them.
Are we?
For the interest of time, maybe let me draw a close to this very wonderful seminar. And thanks once again, Lifeng, for giving us a very discussion on a very important topic. And apparently, your talk generated a lot of very interesting and good discussion on the house. I'm sure that a lot to discuss further. If you're interested, stay behind. You can have a further chat with Lifeng of more coffee. And Lifeng will come back in July. We will have an energy conference on the 18th of July. So everyone will be most welcome to join us and see Lifeng and us at there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
谢谢你们
分享。
你好。去年到安徽。
Thank you so much. Thank you for your question.
係啊係啊，
有啲咩
多謝你多謝你，
唔好咁講嘅，
好有趣，你哋嗰行都好有趣。
都學㗎，
好啊好啊，
好深㗎嘛啲嘢。
有機會再交流。
傾先啦，你哋。